Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to another recording of a Clubhouse room, and the title was Feminists are the Enemies of God. It was a very fun conversation, hearing different perspectives, so I believe this is something you will enjoy. So it will be in two parts. We've cut it into two. So listen to one part today and we'll play the rest of it on another episode. This episode is weird because it doesn't start from the very beginning because I started recording a little late. I was still learning the technicalities of recording, so please bear with me. But you didn't really miss much in the beginning. The beginning was just me ranting. Where I started recording was where the good stuff started. So please subscribe, Apple, Spotify, and also please enjoy this episode.
Shift who was foolish enough to eat the apple. So like there's always like this blaming of women whenever like religion comes up. And also but I think, to be honest, like I'm usually very careful whenever like this topic arises, like religion and feminism, because I'm very much aware that there are religious feminists out there. There are Muslim feminists out there. There are Christian feminists out there. And they seem to be like, I follow some of them on Twitter, for example. I follow some of them on Twitter, for example, and I see them like being feminists, like doing the work and doing what needs to be done. So I, to be honest, do not entirely understand. I'm talking about like me here. So I personally do not understand how those two can coexist, which is why I'm hoping like maybe someone comes up here on stage and maybe not necessarily explain, but like, you know, the idea behind it. Because I, as a feminist, for example, can't imagine being in a religion setting and the pastor or I think they call them a man when it comes to like Islam, is preaching and the rhetoric is so against women. I can't remember the last time I've been in church, but I remember like most of the topics are usually, you know, how to be pure enough to be like, deemed acceptable in the how to be pure enough to be deemed acceptable and worthy of a man's gaze. So the pastor is always preaching things like you need to be submissive to your husband, you need to like, you know, be this and that. Like, so of course, like I feel like when it comes to religion itself, like the books that are out there, like the Bible, for example, like these are like old books. These are like very old books. They go back like thousands of years. And like the patriarchy has always been a thing like in human history, and it's still very much a thing now. So I believe like, based on the fact that I'm an atheist, I believe religion is man-made, which is now I'm not really surprised by the rhetoric in the Bible, for example, or in the Quran. I'm not really surprised about the fact that it's so against women or so pro-patriarchy, because that is what I expect men to have done 2,000 years ago in a like that is the only system they've known. Like that is the only thing they've known. Like it's always been a very patriarchal system. But I do find it very problematic when those codes are still being used to justify violence against women and preaching to women to accept this kind of violence. Like I think it's very problematic, especially now, like in most Nigerian churches, it's always where, you know, like for example, women are comfortable going to like the pastor for advices, including relationship advices, and it's usually, oh, you have to be this and you have to be that, and you have to just pray for for you to survive, or for your abusive relationship to be better. I think things like this affect women negatively, and I think it's going to be a lie to like pretend it's not an issue. Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you, Oge. Thank you, Mogi. Sorry. So, now Cinderella, you have something to say?
Yeah, sure. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. Feminists are the enemies of God. Depends on which God you're talking about. But okay, anyway. So I am not. Oh, okay. No problem. I used to be a Christian. Let me put it like that. I'm no longer a Christian, and for different reasons. So backstory, 2015, I went through depression, and at that point, what I kept asking myself was who I was without all these things. And then I felt that I had this feeling that God was punishing me for things that I did. But that was when I used to be a Christian. But then when I got to read other religious, let me not say religious, read books and all that, I realized that what I have been told, because people make it seem like you've done something bad and God is punishing you, that all the things that I've been told are not true and they are false. So before then, I had a friend that was atheist and all that, and I enjoyed hanging out with that person because there's something that as Nigerians we like to see is example, even as human beings. I don't know, the network seems poor. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, like, there's something that we like to see as Nigerians is example. And when we see these examples of people living without God and living without all these rules, fascinating. But then, religious people receive it or treat it like with so much hate, and they want to get intrusive, they want to cross boundaries to tell you how wonderful their God is and whatever. So for me, that journey took me away from religion, and I think it was Buddhist books I met. And I don't identify as a Buddhist. I don't believe in organized religion because I feel like it's overshadows the whole purpose of spirituality and things. So reading those things and looking at what I had always believed, I was fascinated. I'm like, yo, this is just life. Nothing is happening to me. Like someone somewhere is not sitting down there and thinking of how they will punish Cindy today because she did something. So I was fascinated about it and I enjoyed it. So that kind of like answered the questions I needed. But that didn't stop me from trying to seek before then, that didn't stop me from trying to seek answers from places. But going through that journey made me realize that, yo, this is just life happening to you. Things happen. Because I noticed that in Nigeria, a lot of us, our mothers, fathers, they attach meaning to every little thing that happens to you. You're having headache, the evil ones are coming for you, things like that. So it made me that I'm not saying that there are not evil people in the world or bad people, but it made me see things that, okay, this is just normal. Life is just happening to you. You're sad, it's because of a reason. You didn't make money today. Okay, how hard are you working? Even if, it also made me realize the sense of entitlement we tend to have as human beings. Maybe because we've suffered for this long, we think we are entitled to a fantastic thing happening to us. Do you get it? So I walked through that path of letting go of all these forms and all that. So when it comes to the feminists are the enemies of God, it's fine if anybody wants to say that. But, I don't expect feminists for what it means. I don't expect women to still be following. I'm sorry. I'm not saying they shouldn't though. Everybody has their choice. But from everything I've seen from religion, Christianity especially, because I know more about that than Muslim beliefs Islam. I know more about Christianity than Islam. I don't expect anyone if she's a feminist. But it is, that's fine, that's okay. She needs a pass, that's what I feel. But from how wonderfully they selected some certain women to be good women in quotes in the Bible, but then other women were bad. It just made me think that we didn't really hear if really everything, all stories, because they call it book of Bible stories, which is very fantastic. Why, I don't know why people are still living according to stories. But that aside, everything being written, especially how they selected these women, I'm like, this is just like, this is misogyny, basically. And during this time, I hadn't really fully started identifying as a feminist, but it made me look at how people can paint people in a bad light. You know, when we bring up feminists, especially in Nigerian society, or like the room I'm just coming from right now, the way people react to it, you know that, okay, there is something. And we know that whenever we bring up feminists, people always like to paint it that, oh, they hate men, they hate this, they are evil, they are devil worshippers. But also, we've also seen how the media, for example, painted NSAS, which is funny because the stories you are hearing, it's not really what's happening. All the lies they brought together. So me, I believe that when I asked who wrote the Bible and they said it was men inspired by God, I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. And I can't believe the stories from people that how do I put it? They pick certain ladies to be good women, and these good women follow a certain pattern. Do you understand? That's how they expect good women to be. And we know that in today's society, when you are referred to as a bad woman, I'm not saying if like people that do evil things, but for someone like me who is a feminist, I'll definitely be referred to as a bad woman. But what have I done to be labeled a bad woman? Because I said I want to have equal rights as a human being in Nigeria. I want to have rights. I want to be able to maybe run for a political office if I want to. I shouldn't even be asking you for to allow me. That's the word they use. Someone one time was running a course on how he wants to. I'm sorry this is taking so long. Someone one time was running a course on how he wants. What?
No, I said continue, no problem.
Hello? Okay, thank you. Someone one time was running a course on how he wants to teach women how to be this and that. And I'm like, wonderful. And then he says something. This is the reason why men would allow. He used that word allow. And I'm like, I'm not surprised, because in the first, we shouldn't be saying things like allow. We are all citizens, supposed to be equal in culture, in a society. But I have to protest about being treated badly. We all know, we say it. Look at women in our society. Look at our mothers. Look at the way I'm not saying everybody. Now, look at the way some people are treated. I mean, they always tell you that it's you that is doing the picking. I mean, if it was easy, if they wrote good men in the forehead, at least it would be easier for women to choose good men. But it's not like that. I think that the whole society has enabled bad things to happen to people, especially if you're a woman. I mean, things will happen to you, for example, rape or sexual abuse, and then they try to tell you that it's a family issue. Forgive. I mean, I remember this is an example that really doesn't have anything to do with feminists, but there was, the genocide that happened in, which is an African country. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But then this woman, her family was butchered right in front of her, and they brought a reverend father to try and convince her that she should forgive and forget. No, so that she can forgive the person that did that to her family. How can you stand there and tell her to do it? And I'm bringing the Bible. And then if we even look at all these slavery things, especially in Ghana, we look at the if you ever go to the White Osu Castle, look at where the church's location is and look at where they put slaves. Then you understand some people's anger, because the church has been used to justify evil happening to people. They will sit there on their thrones and watch bad things happen, and they don't say anything. There are people that, like Catholic Church. I used to be a Catholic member. My family is still Catholic. Me, I'm not. They don't support divorce. But then a man is beating his wife every day, every good day. A man is beating that woman, and you're telling her you don't support divorce. That's evil. To me, I'll stop here. Then if I get more points, I'll continue. But you can't expect everything happening to women. And we see how the Bible is written in a very misogynistic way that doesn't even, I don't know what to use, but you can't expect feminists to, I don't know if anybody wants to follow that, because I understand that you can find God outside of religion. See, that's why I understand. For people that believe in God, you can find, because I don't know, the way the whole thing is written, you know that this is not okay. If you're a feminist and you're actually looking at this thing, you know that this is not right. That's what I'd say for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cinderella. Really very valid points. The Bible and feminism are basically like water and oil. They can't mix. And one thing I noticed, when you or the feminists that believe in the Bible and the Quran, the only way it can work for them is cognitive dissonance. They have to switch off and on at different times, or they just choose not to involve in such discussion. But today we want to talk that matter. So anybody wants to contribute? Anybody? Okay.
Sorry, please, I remembered something.
Okay.
You know the story of Jesus, yeah?
Yeah.
And the example, what Jesus asked them to do, that is not what Christians are doing. That Jesus asked you to love your neighbor as yourself, Abi?
Yes.
Jesus had teachings that he taught people to do, but they don't follow that. They do what Uncle Saul and the rest said. They don't actually follow Jesus' teaching, because if you look at it, Jesus was Jesus was a feminist. He didn't treat women anyhow. He didn't treat the women around him anyhow. That's what I want.
That's another angle. Okay, John.
But was he really a feminist though?
We've not gotten the
Oh, sorry,
picture.
I don't know. I'm just saying, based on the fact that I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, based on their soul and the reference.
Uncle
No, because I find that to be interesting as well. Like, I know a lot of
to be what?
To be interesting, because I know a lot of women. I've talked to a lot of like Christian feminists, and one of the arguments was always Jesus was also a feminist. But I feel like the things they were mentioning, like they were just basic human, like I don't know, like it was just being a.
That's the beauty of the Bible. You can twist it.
Yeah, I understand. And you know what? Like, some people have theories. Different theories.
But like it was just being a decent human being, and just you can be a decent human being, but that doesn't necessarily mean you see women as
he's a feminist.
Exactly. So yeah.
All right.
You know, I once heard an argument that Jesus actually left the church for the women, but then he's just, these theories that they bring. Well, Jesus actually left the church for women, but then you know how.
When it is. Oh boy. Okay,
John
so now,
and Janet are flashing your minds.
So yeah, priority. I'm going to be biased towards women because this is a feminist issue. So, and guys, lean back there. You can go relax more. So Janet, please.
Yeah, sorry, please. I just joined some minutes ago. So okay. Good evening, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I just joined some minutes ago. I wanted to know what the room was about before I have something to say, right? But I just want to
as
know
the title
what the room is about.
Feminists are the enemies of God. The Bible's rhetoric is basically an anti-woman rhetoric from Genesis down to Revelation. So.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, personally, I feel Jesus Christ was actually a feminist though, because from what was recorded about him, he was more empathic to women than other apostles, because people don't know this submission verses in the Bible that talked about women submitting to their wives, or women not speaking in church, speaking in public, was actually said by Paul. And Paul was actually making those according to his cultural practices at that time, and according to what he felt was right. But Jesus Christ, when they brought that Samaritan woman, that woman that committed adultery, and he said, "He who without sin should cast the first stone," I feel like Jesus was against victim blaming, which feminists of nowadays are actually against. And also the part of the Bible where it says, you shouldn't divorce except it's on the grounds of infidelity. I feel like, yes, that's what most feminists are all about. Like, if you're unhappy in a relationship, or if your husband is a chronic cheat, you should leave instead of staying with him. So I feel like these things, and again, when he died and he rose again, if he appeared to women first before men. So I felt like he was actually a good not maybe a good supporter, because all his disciples were men. So I don't really see the gender equality. But I feel like, in a way though, he was still a feminist, because he never talked about oppression. There was no place in the Bible where it looked as if he supported oppression of women and all of that. So basically, but all the other verses about submitting to your husband and women not speaking in public and all this message, even from the Old Testament, the issue about the woman the concubine, that the man gave up his concubine to be gang raped from night to morning, only for him to kill the concubine and shed his body into pieces, and all those things, very, very disturbing things, were just misogyny, like what was happening then in the Bible era. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Janet. I wanted to ask, are you a believer or a non-believer?
Well, I am not religious, but I'm a Christian. Okay. So religion is different from Christianity. So I'm not religious. I'm just a Christian. I just have my personal relationship with God, and that's that. Okay.
With what you said now, yes, one can picture Jesus as a feminist, but you brought up one valid point. His disciples actually kind of expose his choosing of disciples. I think we can kind of conclude that he was just a nice human being. Do you understand? Then in the case of Paul, you are right. Paul used his own thinking. Just the way what he thought about women, the same thing he thought about slaves should obey their masters, even the cruel ones. But the challenge with this Paul matter, Napolo gets that New Testament. Napolo gets the whole of New Testament. Napolo be the first that Jew. The in cases of pray without ceasing, Christians don't throw that out. In cases of faith, there are a lot of doctrines that are practiced today, and Paul's teachings are the anchor of it. So you see why I say cognitive dissonance is actually what happens with as you say, you are religious, you don't practice religion, but you're a Christian. In that God belief, for feminism to work with God belief, you have to switch off and on. You have to pick and choose, which begs the question, like, this is supposed to be a perfect book. Why pick and choose? It makes you need to question it. You need to go all the way. And yeah, just like you said, the Old Testament is a bloody mess. Like, if they make a movie of it, Game of Thrones will be PG-13 in comparison. It is just you said the woman that was the concubine. That one is to be Lot offered his own daughters. If not that those mob actually wanted the angel bomb, they would have ended up like that concubine as well. So for what we are here to address is the cognitive dissonance, and try to understand that how are you able to switch off and on this matter? How are you able to accept some teachings of Paul and push out the ones that are vividly against women? And also the Old Testament, there are still things in the Old Testament that Christians use today, even feminists, but the rhetoric, that Old Testament, which is the Jewish Bible in totality, like the whole Judaism, that is what the Old Testament was just copy and paste. They just changed, all they just did was rearrange the books in one way or the other. So cognitive dissonance is what we are here to address. But thank you for your contribution. So John, You're next.
All right, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, feminists are the enemies of God. I think it was Cinderella that made this point. It really depends on the type of God that you are talking about. And I think here we are talking about the Abrahamic, should I say Abrahamic God or Abrahamic gods? Because there is...
Sorry. I made that point because it's only Christianity I know. I know that even when it comes to Islam, they are dealing with their own. Thank you.
Yeah,
I get your point. So, yeah, Yahweh, Allah, and Jesus, the persons of the Trinity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it depends on the type of God that you are talking about. But I think if we are going to say the Abrahamic God now, I think, like if you take the Bible at face value, and if you take the Bible as inerrant, like you take it as the perfect word of God, then I don't really see how you can be a feminist and you think you are serving this God that I just described. So that is the thing. But now I know that like Christians differ on how they view the Bible. There are Christians that look at the Bible as, okay, this is books that were written by men. And there are parts where God is actually communicating with men and men have written it down. But there's human error and all that and all of that. So I think those type of Christians have a better case to make. If you show them something that is like, if you are that type of Christian and you are a feminist, so if you show them something that, oh, look at this this teaching or doctrine or whatever that is against women, they are just going to say, okay, no, that was just Paul writing out in the context of his time. That wasn't God inspiring Paul and all that. And now you need to ask the question of, okay, how do you know which part of the Bible is what God is inspiring and which part is just human error? You sort of have that issue there. I think it was Janet that was trying to say that Jesus was a feminist and she brought up some points to make arguments. Well, I don't think I can make that argument that Jesus was a feminist, because the reason why I say that is that there are lots of times where Jesus reforms what has been written in the Old Testament. For instance, when you look at the Sermon on the Mount, you have Jesus saying things like, "It has been said to you, an eye for an eye, but I tell you." So you have him saying, "Okay, this is what you were told before, but this is what I'm telling you now." So it's sort of a reformation. You see him reforming Judaism in a fashion. Now, what I'm trying to say is that if Jesus was a feminist, he would have done the same thing with all those Old Testament passages that sort of portray women as not on equal grounding with men. You know, there are some rules like that you can see that these rules are unfair to women. So if Jesus was a feminist, he would have said things like, okay, it has been said to you, blah, 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 but I tell you this. So that is just how I see it. I don't think you can pick up the words of Jesus and say, okay, this guy is a feminist. I don't think so. I think the way I see Jesus is that he was someone that, I'm not going to say he was a nice guy like a lot of you said. I think it was just it was an improvement of the morals of his time. Let me put it that way, because I can still see a lot of things that Jesus said that looks quite should I say nasty? It doesn't really make sense. So that is just my view. So in summary, if you are taking the Bible at face value, then yes, feminists are the enemies of God. But if you are not taking the Bible at face value, then maybe you can make your argument. So that's just all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Next up is African apostates. African apostate, are you there?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. I just want to add a few things. First of all, to add to your examples from the Bible of misogyny and anti-feminism, as it were, I believe it's in Deuteronomy, where basically rape in the Bible is considered to be a property crime against the woman's father, not a crime against the woman's bodily autonomy. Just to add that example, right? But my general point I was going to make, I think misogyny and anti-feminism actually predates religion. I think it's something about society that wants to control women's fertility, and by extension their sexuality, right? and religion adopted this from society. I don't think religion invented this kind of misogyny. But due to the nature of religion, I think it resists change. The dogmatic nature of religion makes it difficult for religion to update itself as the times change. So we are still stuck with attitudes from 2,000 years ago about women because that's what the religion says. We can't change it, which I think is a little bit anachronistic, as it were, right? I mean, if you think about it, right, just another point I was going to make, right, the entire concept of the miraculous conception, right? I mean, at what point did Mary give any consent that she was going to be inseminated or impregnated by the Holy Spirit, right? I mean, did her consent not actually matter? I don't believe the Bible actually mentions anywhere that a woman's consent is necessary or even desirable before sex. It's completely omitted, which I think is a bit of a glaring error. The only thing that seems to matter is the consent of the woman's owner. I mean, somebody gave the example of, was it Lot or was it that he gave his concubine and offered his daughters to the crowd, right? Yeah. It was because he gave permission, then that was all that was required. The woman's actual her opinion and her consent was just not required. It was not important, right? So I see the Bible as basically it's just an old-fashioned way of looking at the world based on 2,000-year-old philosophies, which I don't. It's a wider problem I have with religion that they are trying to bring Bronze Age mentality into the digital age, which just doesn't work, right? So I don't know how we can reconcile that, right? So just generally, women that are religious or Christian. I mean, we've had an example of somebody who's Christian but not religion. I would have explored that if we had time, but people who are Christian, religious, however you want to define it, and want to also be feminist, I see as almost being equivalent to a vegetarian who wants to work in a butcher shop. They don't go together, right? I don't understand how that works, right? I mean, is there not a verse in the Bible as well that says that a woman should not teach a man, or she's to be quiet in the presence of a man, or something of that nature? I'm sorry if I'm butchering the verse, right? Yeah, but it's just verse after verse, verse after verse after verse that basically cements the subjugation of women under men. Because this is the society that they lived in. I mean, if religion was able to be updated in the way that the rest of society updates itself, then I don't think we'd still be in that situation. But alas, this is what religion is like. It's locked in its ways because it can't change because of its dogmatic approach to how it sees the world. So I don't know. It was only a brief contribution I was going to offer. So obviously I'm prepared for this. I just thought I'd give my 2 cents, and that's kind of what I have to say.
All right, thanks, bro. Janet, you want to reply?
Yeah, please. I'd like to reply to the part where African said God did not seek consent, because I can remember the Bible, an angel appeared to Mary and told her she's going to get pregnant, she's going to receive the infilling of the Spirit and get pregnant. And I feel Mary actually replied that, yes, let your will be done or something, and she actually consents. So I really don't understand when people say God didn't take consent, because I remember that an angel appeared to Mary to inform her that she was going to bear a son that will be the savior of the world. And I think
if Mary, also I'm sorry to interrupt.
Who's there?
I also have a question, if that's okay.
Can I just quickly, if Mary had said no, would the Holy Spirit have said, okay, fine, we'll find somebody else?
I don't know. Maybe you should ask the Holy Spirit yourself. What do you think?
We don't talk to him now.
You can ask the Holy Spirit.
I think he was telling Mary, what's going to happen. He wasn't asking her permission. If I walk up to a girl and say, you're going to have my baby, lie down and what's it, right? And I mean, she might decide and say, okay, well, if that's what you're going to do, then fair enough. I'm still raping her, right? Even though I told her first, it's still rape.
But wait, even what you're saying, you know this hierarchy about master and, I'm just saying, for example, master and slave. Can a slave refuse having a master's baby? What will happen to the person? That's what. We will never know, Sha.
We will never know, because the person that wrote it is dead.
Yeah, so
and yes, people are still following it.
I wanted to make the same observation that African agnostic atheist made, and he said the Holy Spirit came to announce. He didn't come and he was like, "Hey Mary, we have this plan. I want to know if you like to play along with this plan. Like, would you consent to doing this?" He wasn't coming to ask a question. Hey, are you okay with this? No, he was coming to announce. He was like, "Okay, this is what you are doing," and then she says, "Let it be done according to your will." So it's not really like the writer is trying to make it seem like God is concerned about our
like,
consent.
can we use your womb? There wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, can I even say something? Even as us women, when we are like, maybe someone approaches us, that for me, for example, if someone comes to me, can I have your number? Now, I can't fully say no just because I'm scared and I'm anxious. I don't know what's going to happen if I say no, because I've been in a situation whereby they can harass you or keep chasing you. So I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
So if someone like that, or a God that he said he's who he is, all powerful and everything, comes to meet you, can you say no with your full chest and you know that, okay, nothing is going to happen to me?
Abio, at least on the flip side, I remember I've read some stories about Zeus. Zeus always make the women fall in love with him before he give them belly. So at all, that one they give consent.
I think the assumption is that the women will, of course, they want it. I mean, it's a god. Of course, they want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which is a typical rapist mentality.
Yeah, and that's because the Bible makes it be like women always have this, that their purpose is to give birth. If you look at the case of Lot's daughters having to get him drunk because they were afraid they will not have children, or if you look at the case of Genesis chapter 38, where Tamar was being passed from brother to brother so that she can have a seed after the first brother has died. So is the idea that in the Bible that women are baby machines, just deposit the seed and they vomit it, which is kind of bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Okay, next up is Mazi. Mazi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I was kind of doing something. Okay. Ranting Atheist. I don't know how you I don't know how you came up with this topic for the room.
The apple. Minister to me.
I guess so, because like I was just strolling through the hallway and then I saw feminists are the enemies of God. First of all, I shock, because like it's more like an accusation, but then it is what it is. So I think people just have to just call in and then drop their 2 cents. And here is mine. Okay. First of all, I see no need why. Like there is no reason to try to reconcile the whole idea of the Bible being non-sexist and the whole Christian faith thing, like, because people try to do that a whole lot. Like they don't try all their best to make sure the Bible fits perfectly. Even the really awful things that it says about women, or the insubordination of women and stuff like that. So it's really a very, very uninteresting thing to read or to listen to or to see people talk about or argue about. So the thing is, it's very clear, like I said earlier, the Bible is sexist as regards how women should be treated and their rights and stuff like that. And I think one of the most important flag bearers about that should be our guy Apostle Paul, because he really says some really let me say interesting things in his epistles, like Ephesians, especially in First Corinthians. I think First Corinthians 11 and 14, Yeah, he really says some really interesting things about how women should shut up and listen and not talk when the guys are talking. And that's basically what women are actually fighting for in modern societies today. I mean, how they have a voice, they deserve to be heard, and stuff like that. Basically, just giving them a space to coexist with the men and all of those feminist stuffs. So if the Bible is saying that these things, if the Bible is going against these things, then it's fair and it's okay to say the Bible is sexist. But then at the same time, the very unfortunate thing about the Bible is that it's impossible, like every other book, it has this inability to be updated. Like, it's given, and it's one of the things that people who adhere to the doctrines or who follow it religiously always say and boast about. They actually feel is a strength, or it's something that makes the Bible unique and immortal and sacred. The fact that the ideas, no matter how they've outlived their relevance and the age in which they are currently being used, it still remains valid, irrespective. Even if society or civilization evolves and keeps evolving 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now, the Bible remains irrefutable. It remains valid up to any point of our civilization. It's totally crap and entire bullshit, man. I'm not going to even bullshit. I'm going to tell you the truth straight up. And it's one of the reasons why, because I understand, I think it was African apostates who was saying something about how it was the culture of the time. Acceptable, true, we all know that. And there's nothing wrong with reconciling with what was the culture of the time, right? Because we know, and I think we've moved on, actually. Like, everybody has moved on. We've accepted this thing that there was a time where women were shut down, were shut off from society and functionality and from really vital roles and stuff like that. Like, we knew there was a time where that was the case. Everybody already dealt with that, accepted that, and the pre-medieval era, even before Christianity and all of that, that was the culture of the time. So we know that, everybody knows that. But then you're saying that there is a book that remains valid even after that point, that says things about these things and that degrades women. And because that book is sacred, it's a religious book, and that makes it irrefutable and, something we should keep reading to women. Because at the end of the day, people go to church every Sunday. Some people go to midweek services and stuff like that. And 1 Corinthians 11 is still being read out to them. 1 Corinthians 14 is still being read out to them. And women are there. Of course, women constitute the major population when it comes to, religious gathering. In fact, our entire world and all of that. So it's a very sad reality. Really sad that this is something we have to keep dealing with every day and all of that. Yeah, then last thing I want to respond to is someone saying that Jesus was a feminist. So I'm not saying he's not a feminist, but we actually can't tell what he was. I mean, he was just a nice guy who played by his own rules and all of that, and tried to make peace, reconcile people to things. And the example the person gave, where a woman was brought up to, it was the normal Jewish or whatever tradition where the person was supposed to be stoned, and then Jesus stood up for the person and said, no, you guys should put down your stones, or if you're the person who blah, 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 and all of that. What I'm trying to say, if that was a guy, I think Jesus would have still said the same thing regardless. So it's not a matter of Jesus defending a woman. Jesus was actually defending the act of criticizing a woman for what she did, right? So let's just get that straight. So we don't try to conflate ideas and mix things up. So there is no way you can actually say Jesus. He was nice to women, fine, but then we know what feminist ideas and the agitations are in postmodern society today. And I never heard Jesus anywhere in the scriptures really defend those ideas and talk about them. He was being nice to both genders. So let's get that right. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mazi. Thanks for the points. Up next is G-Day. And Adetunji is next after Jide. Jide, are you there?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
Right.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, as Karl Marx was saying now, religion is like the opium of the masses. I mean, sometimes I keep on asking myself, how can't they see through this bullshit? I mean, are you kidding me? You read the Bible and you see all this nonsense, and especially women, by the way. How can they see through this bullshit? But then I now I just found out that literally people need religion. There are some people that cannot do without religion. There are some people that They have built their identity around it. They are nothing without it. And well, not everybody can be like me. People vary. They have their different personalities. They have their upbringing, indoctrination. Believe me, yeah, we are all indoctrinated in one way or the other. You just have to take very, very immense unlearning and critical thinking to actually unlearn everything you've learned. So not everybody can be like us. And man, these people, they just can't do without religion. They can't. It's just so difficult. So sometimes I try to cut them in slack, because I understand, because last religion is the opium of the masses, though. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
All right, thanks, bro. Okay, hold on. Muge wants to reply to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say women can't see it, because some of us do. And like, I don't know, like it just sounded somehow you saying that women can't see it, because at the end of the day, I feel like whenever it comes to any kind of religion, women and men are victims.
Yeah.
Well, victims from an atheist perspective here, to religion. And like, there are religious people out there regardless of gender. So who follow like these books regardless of gender. It just sounded somehow saying women can't see it. That's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah. In line with what Mogi said, the reason why people can't see is indoctrination is so powerful. You cannot underestimate it. And people went through different intensities of indoctrination. I, for one, primary school, secondary school, university, Christian. I'm supposed to be a fucking pastor. But thank Lucifer, I have coconut head. It's people's life experiences. That's why forums like this, content needs to be made. There are different things that trigger people to wake up. For me, what made me to start breaking was Genesis chapter 38. I've never seen that chapter in the Bible in my life, and that was the what the fuck moment. I've seen the genocide. I looked over, we sang the wall of Jericho fell down flat. It didn't even bother me that Joshua was murdering people. I didn't even look at it through that side. So you have to understand that indoctrination is hard to escape, especially with the society we live in. So if you're able to escape, you need to be grateful, and the way you show empathy is to probe questions at people that believe through forums like this, through content, through whatever. But looking at them in a condescending way is unfair, because I keep playing back to the time when I was still one, and I know that I did not even know that there was another option of I not do again. And if not for the fact that people that were creating content that were patient to explain to you right here on the internet, I will still be there believing in God, even though I stopped going to church. So it is not easy to break free from indoctrination, especially for a very, very long time. So let me pause my ranting, and who's next? Adetunji.
Can I just respond to this point before the discussion moves on very quickly?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I want to respond too.
Who's that? I think
just very quickly.
I want to respond as well.
Okay. African. Who else wants to respond? Cinderella. I think I think it was Cinderella as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then John.
Yeah, just very quickly, right? In terms of leaving religion, just to make a point on that, right? There is something in our psychology, right, that associates being cut off from the social group with death. And if you think about it, right, when we were still forming our brains, when we were still living on the plains, right, if you were cut off from the group, you would live, or you would basically be cast out into the wilderness, right? And that was literally a death sentence. And we still carry that baggage, where if you're cut off from your social group, then your brain associates that with death. So a lot of people, I think, stay with the religion even when they have doubts, even when they start to question, right? A lot of people stay and convince themselves that, oh, no, it's fine, I can stay here, because they don't want to be ostracized from their social group. That was just what I wanted to.
All right. Thanks, bro. So, Cinderella?
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. Also, like I mentioned, my experience, it was very hard for me, because you're at that point where, okay, I've known this all my life. You understand? And then now I'm hearing something new. It's like, you see, to me, I think it changes your whole life, to be honest. It's like you die a certain kind of death and then you get reborn and you are looking at things differently. Maybe things that you've ignored before, like you were saying the wall of Jericho things, things that we ignored before, that it's like the whole religion justified those things. Do you understand? So they gave us, like, we were comfortable with the reasons why those things happen. Oh, they disobeyed God. So yeah, they deserved it. Like when people were making an excuse for when they shot at protesters at NSAS and were saying they stayed out past the curfew, which is not really okay. I think that it's hard to me. Like when I see a lot of people, because like African said, you can still doubt those things, but you're still there because, okay, you have some beliefs that you've already given yourself that, okay, regardless, I'm still meant to believe. Maybe like you still have that, because there's also that fear that when I leave, what happens to me? That because you know how, for example, some Christians treat people that don't believe in the same thing as they do.
Yeah.
So like it's hard, to be honest. So I think the only way that what we can do is to be compassionate, to be honest. It's frustrating, it's annoying when we see people justify things that are not okay with religion and all that. But at the end of the day, to me, I just see that, okay, they've known these things, but then there's also still that part that can't you open your eyes? But if you really understand how hard it is for you to really shake all the things that you believed all your life, it will help.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cinderella. John, you have to respond as well?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, like, you were talking about indoctrination, and I have the perspective that it's not just indoctrination that makes people believe stuff. And I think this is there's an aspect that a lot of atheists tend to ignore, and that is the part of personal experiences. Like some people have had personal experiences that, like, I know so many Christians that, like, we basically agree on almost everything. Okay, the Bible Bible supports genocide in this passage. Yeah, they agree. Okay, the Bible, some passages of the Bible is against women. Yeah, they agree. They agree on so many of these things, but they'll just be like, I know that the God of the Bible is real because of one experience that I had. And that is just what keeps them in there. So it's not just, I think, yeah, indoctrination plays a role for maybe most people, but it's that's not all. And of course, you have the Christians that became Christians as adults. So I think if you just assume everybody that is religious is because of indoctrination, it's not going to help your cause. You get what I'm saying? Because you just see somebody that believes for maybe because of one thing that happened to them, that maybe they think it's a miracle or something, and you are just thinking, oh, this person was indoctrinated. So the tactic that you are going to use for the indoctrinated person is not the same thing that you should be using for that person. And if you keep doing that, you just the person will just be maybe pissed off or something, and you just lose their interest in talking to you. So that was what I wanted to chip in.
All right, bro. Nice one. Israel, you want to respond, or you have your point you want to drop?
I just wanted to add to the conversation.
Okay, you need to Adetunji is next. But Adetunji,
okay,
you need to, I said priority to this, and one of our moderators is here now. So Rita, do you want to drop a few things?
No, I'm just listening in for now.
Okay, all right, Adetunji, go.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I just want to comment on two things because I came in quite late. But when I came in, I heard someone say something about Mary giving consent, and I think everyone needs to agree in the story that Mary could not give consent because of the power dynamic that exists between God and, like, between Yahweh and any human. Like, it's impossible for there to be informed and accurate consent in that situation. So just wanted to put that out there quickly. Then on the second point, there's this thing I see atheists do a lot, and for me personally, I think it's just too simplistic. It's not adding nuance to the subject. On the one hand, religions are internally diverse, meaning like Christianity, because I believe like the conversation is really veered towards the Christian God here. So Christianity has like there are several ways to interpret text, and there are several ways that Christians have historically interpreted text. So, and there are several branches of Christian feminism where, like, it may sound absurd to you because you don't like buy into the ideology, but it's valid. And personally, I think when people make statements like religion doesn't allow room for progress, you are actually buying into a fundamentalist ideology where people have made where people have made progressive strides in theology, and you are really negating the work they've done. For example, there are Christians that use a theology to explain how LGBT folks are valid, and so for you to sit on a stage and say something like religions don't allow progress means you're not following the theological strings. You're not following how people have historically interpreted text and how the religion has come down to us. Because if you go by history, we have the Reformation, we have several points in the history of Christianity where they have punctuated, where people have calmed down and said, okay, this thing doesn't make sense. How can we reinterpret it? So for me, I think feminism is inimical to certain types of Christianity, and that is a fact, because there are certain types of Christianity where feminism is against the like following the fund. But I think atheists need to divorce themselves from like having too much of a fundamentalist ideology or fundamentalist view of Christianity, because I'm not a Christian, but I can recognize that Christians have made like improvements in theology that makes sense of the world. Like it makes sense of feminism, even Muslims as well. I follow a couple of Muslim feminists, and I'm like, what they are saying is actually valid. So for me to say, okay, I know the religion doesn't make sense to me, but you cannot just paint the religion with such a broad stroke that it removes all nuance. And yeah, that's just all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Nice. Oh, thanks for that, bro. Anyone wants to respond? Okay, Mazi.
I feel like that was so directed at me. So can I just quickly come back on that?
All right, African, then Mazi respond.
Okay, so in terms of religion changing, right, I actually think that for the example you gave, for example, churches becoming more tolerant to LGBTQ, yeah? I think in order to do stuff like that, right, you have to go beyond what the actual text says, right? And I don't deny that there are Christians who want to progress, but usually they're dragged along by society. They're never at the forefront of this kind of progress. It's usually society progresses first. They realize how far behind they are, and they try and catch up, first of all. And what was the other example you gave? Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. I'll tell you what, I'll leave it there for now, and I'll come back if I remember. I've lost my train of thought. But just on that point, right, I actually don't think the drive for change comes from within the religion. I think it's people within the religion that realize that the rest of society has changed. And if they don't change with society, it's going to leave them behind and they will lose all their followers. So, I mean, I'll leave it on that for now.
All right, that makes sense. Mazi.
All right, yeah. I was going to respond to what was he Adetunji?
Yeah,
Sorry, I was kind of my phone was in my pocket. I wasn't really looking. So I was going to respond to what the person said. I kind of agree with almost everything he said, except slightly on what he said about irreligious people reducing Christianity to fundamentalist ideas. And truly, I've seen like people do that a whole lot, especially like probably agnostics or atheists or people. And I think sometimes actually very unfair to them. And very unfair to how ideas should go and how discourses should be intercepted as long as ideas and fair conversations are concerned. But then here is the thing. I think still on that, it's actually almost impossible, very nearly almost impossible to have these conversations about religion and how their ideas should be interpreted and stuff like that. And I heard you mentioned about theologies and their perspectives and how like they've done lots of research as to how these religious ideas should be intercepted and how they should be viewed and the right approach to how they should be seen. But then we have a bigger problem here in the sense that these religious ideas come from, for a start, I've read lots of theological texts. I've listened to lots of theological interpretations, and even from the argument of the time of the medieval era, from St. Augustine to Thomas Aquinas and the rest of them, they've always had a very straightforward interpretation, and for the most part, we've really not tried to expand it beyond what they are saying, right? It's more like you pinning someone to his word. And when it comes to religious texts such as this, I mentioned 1 Corinthians 11, 1 Corinthians 14, as well as I can't remember now if it's 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy. But then the thing is, these words are perceived, or as we know, to be divinely inspired, right? They come from a particular direct source, even though, of course, we have opinions in the scriptures. We have different opinions from different apostles and, different people as well. But then the thing is, the overarching point still remains that this is something, the scripture itself is a body of written work that is inspired by God himself, right? And so when you make certain statements, or when you read certain things from the scriptures, it's actually difficult to, you can't pin it to a particular interpretation. And I think that's where it becomes really difficult for people to like hold God accountable, or hold whoever the writer was accountable. For example, if you say that this is this, for example, when Paul the Apostle talks about how women should listen and keep short and not talk when the guys are talking in the church and stuff like that, of course, as you would say, and as so many other theologians are going to say, that particular text opens up invariably an infinite number of interpretations, right? People are going to have to come in with different opinions, and it's a problem. And the truth is, we have to start seeing this thing as a problem, because it is a problem. The fact that you can have infinite interpretation of a particular text, just one text, creates a problem. And so what I think what most atheists and agnostics or any other religious brand, what they do is they try to kind of what's the word now? Like, what's the approximating narrative here? Like, what are you trying to say exactly? You can't tell me that for a particular text, God is trying to say 100 million things. There is something he's trying to say. So we want to know, what is he saying? What is he saying? And then at the end of the day, you see people trying to narrow it down to different things. For example, now you can go to a church and this particular verse is interpreted this way, and you go to a particular theologian, a different theologian is saying something else entirely. So at the end of the day, atheists have no other choice than to go through the fundamentalist approach to pin it down to a particular interpretation. So in that case, like, I think theologians, it's up to them. They've been doing a really terrible job over the years trying to actually interpret these things, these texts, of course, you should know, have been passed down over millions of years. And that's why I started off by saying, when I talked the first time, that the sad thing, or the unfortunate thing about these religious texts is that irrespective of how long they've been existing, they keep holding their validity, or whoever believes in them, or the people who believe in them, which of course are the religious people, they hold on to the validity of them, right? And the fact that they are irrefutable, they can't be challenged, also creates another problem. Because like Adetunji said, if we could actually hold the writer or God or the theologians who are defending these things accountable to just one context, I think at that point it's difficult to actually have, it's easier to have a fair conversation or to come up with an argument against that. So when you're defending something, you're defending only one interpretation. But then since one text opens up an infinite number of interpretations and everybody actually defends their own interpretation, I think we have a problem there. And it's where I'm going to respond to Adetunji now is that at that point, it's now very difficult to say that the 40 people here are the people who are trying to, reduce whatsoever interpretation they can't find to the most common ground or uniting narrative where everybody can say, okay, this is what they're trying to say. All right, because for the most part, it's always been very ambiguous, and there are so many things that can be said about it and all of that. So that's what I wanted to say to Adetunji about that. I don't know if you have any counter opinion. Of course, you can come up with that. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay, Adetunji, if you want to reply. Then we'll move on to Israel after your reply. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. The rest of the conversation will be played on another episode. If you have not subscribed, Apple, Spotify, Google, or any other place you listen to podcasts. And with this, we are done for this week, and I'll catch you on the next one.